Ramy and Dave are two shows that both had great seasons of television last year. Ramy follows Ramy, an Arab millennial trying to work on his Islamic faith, and Dave follows Dave, a white guy from Philly trying to make it as a rapper named Lil Dicky in LA. They have pretty different premises, but the style and types of stories that they tell are very similar. The shows are both dramas and comedies, using both elements to tell deeper stories. The premise of each show is that it's inspired by real life. Ramy is really played by Ramy Youssef, Dave is really played by Dave Bird, and both of them pull from real life experiences for their shows. So it's not surprising that they both came from a background of performing on stage, Dave with rapping and Ramy with stand-up comedy, formats where they can reflect on their lives in comedic ways. Both of these creators have to think about themselves a lot, and what they both figured out and included in their shows is how narcissistic you have to be to create a show about yourself.
Okay.
256, 35,
Your cell phone number?
Yeah.
Oh, that's of no use to me.
Ramy and Dave are millennials, and narcissism is one of the many criticisms of their generation. They're the everyone's special generation. They're slackers who don't work, depend on their parents, wait a long time to get married, and both shows play into these tropes, probably because some of them were true for them. But what I want to show is that this behavior is not just something that millennials came up with. Baby boomers are a good example of this not just being a millennial thing. In his 2013 article for Time magazine, writer Joel Stein explains that in the US, millennials are the children of baby boomers, who are also known as the me generation, who then produced the me generation, whose selfishness technology has only exacerbated. Whereas in the 1950s, families displayed a wedding photo, a school photo, and maybe a military photo in their homes, the average middle-class American family today walks amid 85 pictures of themselves and their pets. Stein goes on to explain that these traits go back even further. They've been around at least since the Reformation, when Martin Luther told Christians that they didn't need the church to talk to God, and became pronounced at the end of the 18th century and the Romantic period, when artists stopped using their work to celebrate God and started using it to express themselves. In his 1979 book, The Culture of Narcissism, author Christopher Lasch wrote that the media give substance to, and thus intensify, narcissistic dreams of fame and glory, encourage common people to identify themselves with the stars and to hate the herd, and make it more and more difficult for them to accept the banality of everyday existence. The difference in millennials is that they had access to revolutionary technology from a young age that encouraged their narcissism. Every app and social media service that you sign up for requires that you create an online persona. This isn't optional. If you want to keep up with your friends, especially in quarantine, you need social media. And certain jobs require that you have a LinkedIn profile or a social media following in order to even apply. Because the internet can only represent a limited part of oneself, you have to choose which parts to present and how. This is what Ramy and Dave have done, but to another level. TV can't perfectly capture their real lives either, and it shouldn't, because watching a live stream of someone going about their day would be really boring. Dave and Ramy can't just be themselves, they have to create characters to represent themselves in the medium of TV. Another criticism of millennials and their narcissism is that they do not view other people as people. Stein writes, not only do millennials lack the kind of empathy that allows them to feel concern for others, but they also have the trouble even intellectually understanding others' points of view. And Ramy and Dave have directly addressed this issue. Even though the series are literally their names, each show has several episodes that don't center around the main character. Ramy has episodes each season that spend their whole runtime from the point of view of one of Ramy's family members, while Dave has episodes that focus on his friends. And these episodes aren't about looking at the main character through a side character's point of view, but showing that these side characters have their own lives and their own issues. Ramy's uncle Nassim struggles with his sexuality, Dave's hype man and real-life best friend Gata struggles with being bipolar.
I'm fucking bipolar.
And each of these episodes are some of the best of what these shows have to offer. These shows understand that the perfect, self-centered public persona is no longer interesting. Even in 2013, Stein knew this. He quotes Evan Spiegel, the co-founder of Snapchat, as saying that it's exhausting to present a picture-perfect life. We're trying to create a place where you can be in sweatpants, sitting eating cereal on a Friday night, and that's okay. Ramy and Dave have to present flawed personas in order for these shows to work. The best TV characters have deep-rooted flaws and are resistant to change, because if your character changes too easily, then there's no more show, but that's also true to life.
You can't have happy endings in sitcoms, not really, because if everyone's happy, the show would be over. And above all else, the show has to keep going. There's always more show.
The way that these shows explore their title characters' flaws is what I like to call selfish improvement. Ramy and Dave both explore the millennial attitude that you're the protagonist of your own story, by constantly having their characters excuse their own actions in a twisted sense of self-care and self-improvement. Dave puts his career above his friends, and Ramy puts sex over Islam. It's hard to change your flaws, even if you can recognize them like Ramy and Dave do. Dave ends season 1 realizing how self-centered he's been, and choosing not to go over his label's head and release a song without their permission. You're not supposed to forgive Dave towards the end, because do you know how exhausting it would be to actually date someone who literally thinks that they're the next Kanye?
I say this with the utmost sincerity. I am the next Kanye West. Except I'm white.
Ramy ends season 2 at rock bottom. He told his wife on their wedding night that he slept with someone else the night before, and he told her because he wanted to be honest. Ramy has a warped sense of morality, where he tries to push responsibility off of himself and he keeps refusing to change. Dave has the opportunity to change for the first time now that he knows what his flaws are, and it'll be interesting to see where these two shows take their characters after this. Both shows balance drama and comedy in a way that's really rare, and it's clear that even though the characters are self-centered, the real Ramy and Dave care about those around them.
Great. And if you see me up on the street, say hi, LD, and I'll stop you and say, whoa, my name is...
What's your name?